Welcome back to This Week in Missouri Politics Daily Update, and today I'm joined by two very special guests who I found walking on the streets on High Street today, so I figured I'd invite them in. Today we're joined by University of Central Missouri President Roger Best, and of course former Senator David Pierce, who is now the government relations for UCM. So thank you for joining me today.
Sure, that's where you find most university presidents, just wandering around on the streets, High Street in particular.
Especially budget week too. I think some of them walk around and they're a little interested to see what's going to go on there. So
it's a busy week and a lot of things still undecided. So a lot of interest on what's going on in the Capitol this week.
Do you miss being up here?
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it when I was here and was in the Senate for 8 years.
I usually see you here almost every day at this point, but I guess in the Senate context.
Yeah, well...
the House, nobody ever really misses the House.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the Senate and the colleagues. And then when I visit the Capitol, you see a lot of the same staff members are still around, so it's neat to see them as well. Yeah. So
it's kind of like I guess it's like a class reunion when you come up here.
It's a lot of that, yep.
So you have classes, though. You guys just finished for UCM your spring semester.
Yeah.
Had some commencement.
Yeah, it's basically wrapping it up tomorrow, as it turns out, with commencement starting tomorrow as well and rolling into Saturday. And so, grateful. And David Pierce, by the way, he's our Executive Director for Governmental Relations, so that's why he's here a lot. So even though he might miss...
He doesn't just miss it.
He might miss it from the Senate side, but he gets to engage in the whole spectrum while he's here. And he's doing a great job for us on that front. And us wandering around High Street looking for those extra dollars and nickels, certainly this is that time of year as the conference committee is working and doing those kind of things and making sure that higher ed is represented in the budget bills, of course. And so we appreciate David's efforts there. But yeah, we're at the end of the semester, which is kind of nice. And if people don't know this, you're one of our alumni, and so you know that process well. We're very proud of you. And
I always throw them off my vintage university or Central Missouri State University.
Yeah, of course. And when I first got to the university, I've been at the university about 30 years now. When I first got to CMSU, that's what it was. And we did the name conversion to UCM. And so our alumni is really funny. Our alumni, the ones who graduated under CMSC, we used to be college, they quickly adapted to CMSU. Our CMSU grads, they really haven't come along with UCM as much.
I've got actually a good chunk of my family went to UCM back when it was CMSU, and I think they're like, I still call it CMSU.
Yeah, so I tell people I go both ways on that. I got there when it was CMSU, but yeah, it's been a great semester for us. We really appreciate all the energy that's been going on campus. We're still running about 13,000 students, and compared to the pandemic, most universities lost enrollment over the pandemic time frame. Coming out of that, we've grown about 25%.
Yeah, and you guys just had an increase this fall, didn't you?
We did, and so fall over fall, we were up a few percentage points, and really grateful for that. So that's just a lot of hard work by people, but for us, and we selfishly like to say this, it's a recognition that our academic programs are solid.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Well, that's we have living
At
proof.
least the political science side, I can fully attest to
We
that.
certainly have living proof right here, and we're grateful that our rankings are improving, whether we look at Wall Street Journal rankings or any of those well-known ones that you might have heard of, including U.S. News and World Report. And so very proud of that. But again, none of that happens by luck or accident. It's a lot of hard work by faculty and staff. And frankly, a lot of the rankings that we see, they are a testament to the hard work that our students do when they graduate, because they're reflective of career placements and earnings and those types of things. So yeah, we're very fortunate that things have been rolling right along.
Yeah. No, there's so obviously when you meet a lot of like Mizzou grads, they always talk about their time at Mizzou. I don't really hear that for MSU at times. I don't hear that as much for Northwestern, but I always hear that with UCM students. They always talk about how much they enjoyed UCM.
We put a lot of effort into having a good student experience. So we do serve students who are online only, for example, that never actually come to campus. We engage them differently. We have students in our Lee Summit facility, so the Missouri Innovation Campus.
Talk a little bit about that, because that not a whole lot of people know about the Lee Summit campus at times.
Yeah, we have about 3,000 students who go through that. It's a joint venture between the Summit Technology Academy, which is part of the Lee Summit School District.
Which is also a really good institution.
We're very proud of our relationship with Lee Summit School District, but the STA, Summit Tech Academy, is a sending academy for about 40 different school districts in the area. And we have, as a small part of what we do in Lee Summit, we have an accelerator program where students can, in their junior year of high school, enter this accelerated computer science program when they graduate from high school, get an associate's degree from Metropolitan Community College and get their high school diploma, come right into our computer science program. And at age 20, graduate with a bachelor's degree in computer science, 3 years of work experience, and making more money than most of us on campus because it's such a high demand profession. And we do that with cybersecurity as well. But we also run a lot of master's degree programs there. So our computer science master's degree program, cybersecurity, information systems and technology is there. A lot of our education programs.
I was going to say, I thought some of your education ones were also.
Yeah, we started as a normal school back in 1871. So our roots are in education. We've provided thousands and thousands of teachers to the Missouri workforce and our school districts. And I like to say that we've been doing workforce development since 1871. That's how we started. And we're still contributing.
I know, went to UCM.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I know, I'm just saying that because my dad went there.
we're a little biased, I know, but that's the feedback we do get. And so from the Lee Summit facility does more master's degree programs. Our nursing program last 2 years was actually there as well. So programs with a professional orientation tied to the Kansas City region and beyond. And so yeah, about 3,000 students through that. But of course on main campus, we are considered a regional comprehensive university or regional public university. And that means that we have about 100 undergraduate and graduate degree programs that we offer in total across the wide spectrum. So we have 4 colleges. So we have strong business programs, professional studies programs. We're well known for a criminal justice program, for example, and safety sciences. And we also are well known for having an airport. So we actually have our own airport.
And you guys got was it the expansion? Was the expansion in 23 or 24?
With the terminal?
Yes.
So we opened the terminal about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And it was a collaboration. It really was a joint venture partnership between the state of Missouri, private donors, and then the university.
Yep.
And the airport that we own is a public use airport. So what we built was a new terminal and aviation education center. So we have about 300 professional pilot majors that go through our program.
And you get hands-on experience. I mean, they've got the when you're taking 50, you basically, like, there's an exit and you got, I guess it's a hangar. But you got a hangar right there that I see all the
Well, that's the maintenance hangar, so that's not our best look probably. So if you see the hangar, that's not UCM Aviation proper. That's just where we do the work on our airplanes.
But you do get hands-on experience with I mean, I see different types of planes flying in there.
Oh yeah, and the aviation is the epitome of hands-on learning, right? You cannot learn to fly a plane without actually at some point getting in the plane and flying that plane. And of course, we start out with simulators. And that's what we're starting to do more and more of across all of our programs. At UCM, we're really getting into virtual reality type of approaches. People used to call it gamification. That's an oversimplification, but immersive learning using virtual tools and even artificial intelligence. We have a relatively new degree program in robotics and artificial intelligence, for example. And these are things that are very applied. So they're
in high demand too.
Very high demand, profession-based. So again, I mentioned the salary part. That's not the full reason you get a degree. It's for quality of life and all those other things too. But it always helps when it comes along with a nice salary too. And we're grateful that our career placement metrics, our salary metrics all reflect that. But we were known for hands-on learning. That's really our goal. And we want to make sure that when a student comes to us and then gets their degree, when they're leaving, they don't just know why they're doing something. Theory is critical. You got to know the why, but they also know how to do things.
Yeah.
So that when they enter the workforce, they're a value add to the employer, the state of Missouri, and all of us.
One of the great things I really liked about the political science division, at least, was that there's obviously the theory part of political science, but then Dr. Coleman has this great program for your research methods. And that you got to learn how to do statistical stuff when it came to either polling or when it came to, I did mine on like happiness of like economically free countries and stuff. And so you do get, and it's a really great hands-on experience that you get because SPSS is, it's complicated at first when you get to it, but then she kind of, she walks you through it perfectly. Like, nobody else really knows it as well as she does. And so she walks you through it. And by the end of it, you're, calculating percentages of, countries who've got high levels of happiness and how much of that is determined by economic factors. And so, but there really is a lot of hands-on experience at UCM. And
you mentioned SPSS. That's a statistical software package.
Yep.
That's very complicated, but it's very powerful. And so those are the types of databases and packages that our students need to know how to do to be successful in their careers. And you get that immersive experience right there as part of your program.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking from personal experience again, the UCM internship programs are fantastic there, especially in the political science. I went in there to talk to Dr. Coleman's class one day, along with Miranda Burke, who worked for you.
Fellow UCM alum.
David,
Right.
and who's now in the budget office. And so we went in there to kind of talk about what we did after we left. And we both agreed, like we may not have agreed on, where we ended up, or, we had totally different backgrounds. I went to go do media and she went to go do policy. But we both agreed that the internships at UCM are, one, some of the best things you can get, and two, are the most important factor after college, because I got all of my opportunities through the internship program.
And for us, we encourage our students to take internships for that reason.
Yep.
Right? There's networking, there's connectivity, but that's also a safe way to discover that you don't want to do something in your career, as opposed to launching a career and realizing 6 months in, this is not really what I want to do.
Yeah.
So the internship really helps you understand what the breadth of the profession is, what's available out there, and equally important, the things that you don't want to do in your career that you'd rather avoid and do something different instead.
And you guys have a new internship program, don't you?
Right. There's a brand new scholarship called the Brenda Pulley Scholarship in Public Policy. And Brenda Pulley, who's an alum from UCM, established this brand new scholarship. And in fact, there's been funds awarded for this summer for the first time. And it basically goes to provide funding for that internship, a stipend for one or more each semester. And one thing I like about it, there's no specific major. So you don't have to be a student in public policy. You could be in history, or you can be in aviation, or whatever.
And I've actually met a lot of people who did the UCM internships, and they were like, I don't know if I want to go into politics. And they told me they're like a business major or whatever, or teacher, they wanted to do that. But they wanted to do the internship because they thought it was really cool.
Right here. And we had one student that was thinking about maybe working at the governor's office, Department of Corrections, Health and Senior Services. And so it's not just working like you did with Senator Hoskins. It could be other places in state government or federal government. And so we're really thankful for Brenda Pulley, who has donated this money for the scholarship. And we're thrilled, too, that students are going to take advantage of it. So we hopefully will have two students this summer, one in Washington, D.C., and hopefully one in Jeff City this summer.
Yeah. And you guys, UCM, you have some notable alumni, and I'm not saying that about me, but
Jake
like you
that's the first one. So.
When I was walking around campus one day, I saw, not in the quad, but kind of over by the chapel, there was a bust, and I went to go look at it. It was Dale Carnegie.
Yes.
Dale Carnegie was a UCM alumni. Former Secretary of State Kirkpatrick, who has the library now.
Kirkpatrick, named after.
And the building here is obviously named after him too. And so it's very impressive alumni goes.
And the current Secretary of State.
Yeah, and the current Secretary of State.
Yeah, he's an alum. And Jim Crane, who's the owner of the Houston Astros baseball team. And our baseball stadium is named after him, thanks to a gift that he provided to build it, and along with his coach. And Dave Stewart, who is Worldwide Technology, he's one of the co-founders of Worldwide Technology.
I didn't know that.
So he's out of St. Louis, but grew up in Clinton, Missouri, and came to us to play basketball actually in the 70s. And we just had an opportunity to speak to him a few days ago, and still has this great affinity for the University of Central Missouri, or Central Missouri State University, and what it meant to him and his preparation for the business world. And he's been obviously very successful.
At UCM really, and I haven't been able to do anything yet, but I do plan on doing stuff in the future when it comes to like the alumni events and everything. But,
we thought you were going to write a big check. Sorry, that's the alumni events are. The alumni events are very important too.
But no, like that, they have a very good network of keeping their alumni together, and it seems like it's almost a. I don't want to say brotherhood, because obviously there's female alumni, so they probably wouldn't want a brotherhood. But there is a family.
It's a family type atmosphere.
It is, and there's a lot of alumni who really care about that institution.
And that's so rewarding to us, because that means that these individuals who are alumni, who are reconnected with us and stay connected with us, had a great experience, and that's what it's all about. And I was joking about the check, because realistically, when we have what we call our Mule Nation events, so we have Mule Nation chapters around the country. And in fact, we have one tonight in St. Louis. And we have about 60 people registered to come out for Mule Nation St. Louis this evening. when people come to those, I make it very clear when I'm there that, hey, we're not here to ask you for money. We're not here trying to get you to give us a donation.
Yeah.
This is just about connecting back to your alma mater, making sure that we understand how things are going for you and hearing from you so that we can continue to improve what we do. And I always want to remind our alumni that although you hopefully had a great student experience, that doesn't end our relationship.
Yeah.
If there are things that we can do for you as an institution, our career placement services, for example, through the Office of Career and Life Design, those are available for alumni too.
Yeah.
So you can come back and register through that. So if you're thinking about career transition, job transition, you can actually use our databases and our resources to help find that next position. So don't forget about us, because we haven't forgotten about you. So if you're an alum, please come back and connect with us, not because we want you to write a check, although I say we take checks, we take credit cards, we do those things, and we won't turn that down, but really it's about the connectivity to your alma mater, helping us to be even better tomorrow than we are today. And when we hear from our alumni, it provides great encouragement to our current students. Mm-hmm. We're able to point to our alumni and say, this is what you're capable of doing with a UCM degree. And that's great encouragement for them to make sure they get that degree and go on to what's next.
And one of the great things about UCM is when, college tuitions have gone really high for students nowadays, UCM is very affordable.
We do our best to keep things affordable and manageable. So if you're looking at trying to get a degree, it's not cheap, but I put it in context. So 4 years of tuition and mandatory fees at the University of Central Missouri for an undergraduate degree in-state is less than the cost of a new car today. Yep. So if you look at the average transaction price of a new automobile, UCM tuition and fees for 4 years. Yep. A bachelor's degree is cheaper than that. Yep. And one of those is a pretty darn good investment. The other is fun to have, but I can guarantee you will depreciate over time. Your UCM degree will not depreciate.
Right. But yeah, I mean, so you guys got a new program coming in. Last time I was there, you had some construction on, was that Ward?
Humphreys building.
Humphreys.
Yeah.
Ward Edwards is the really beautiful economics building, which you are familiar with.
Yeah, I was dean of the College of Business and Professional Studies at one point in my career at UCM, and my office was in that building. My classrooms were in that building once it was renovated. And when I taught classes, it's a beautiful facility. We have flags of a bunch of countries there where students have come from to study at UCM. And fortunately, we've been so fortunate. The state of Missouri has actually been very good to higher education the last few years, and a lot of appreciation to the legislature and to Governor Parson when he was in office, and certainly to Governor Kehoe now for the investment that they've made into higher education. So this Humphreys building renovation, if anybody's been on our campus, it's right in the middle of campus. It's on the quad. We're doing a major renovation of the entire building, all funded by the state of Missouri.
Two separate buildings, didn't it? And then they conjoined.
Yeah. So the history of the university. We need to get you back and do some tours for people.
Well, there's the ghost building. Everybody always.
That's Yater Hall, right? Yeah, that's the residence hall. But yeah, it was two separate buildings built in the 1920s. One was Humphreys, and the other was the Science Hall. Mm-hmm. They used to call it Science Building, but in the renovation, they've taken some science down and literally engraved in the building is Science Hall. And so it was our science programs were in that building. And then we built a brand new, in 1969, built a brand new science building. And so they redeveloped Science Hall and Humphreys and put something in the middle that joined them together, and collectively called the entire building Humphreys.
Which one was the one that was the old gymnasium?
Dockery.
That's right. I remember Professor Bax was in there.
Yep.
Her office is in there, and they told me it used to be a gymnasium. I was like, that used to be the gymnasium.
It is the oldest building on campus now. Dates to 1896 when construction started on that. And we had an older building, but it burned down. It was called Old Main. It burned down in 1915. So the building I'm in now replaced that building. But Dockery used to be a gymnasium, and it was our third president that decided we should do that because he was kind of a physical fitness person. And he's like, everybody needs a gym, right? And so he's the one that worked with the state to get the funding for that. And it served us well over the years. Now we have the Student Recreation and Wellness Center.
Which is great.
Which is amazing. It's got a track and a climbing wall and and all the workout machines that I try to avoid, and classroom building.
I avoided them as well.
Yeah, but the students voted to pay for that themselves, and so that is paid for through a student fee, and it's a great showcase for our students and great resource if you choose to use those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of touched on this, but like higher education in the state has really changed over the last few years. Whether any university at all has changed substantially in their approach to education or the new programs they bring in. So obviously you touched on like the high tech side, bringing in more AI kind of investment into those types of programs. But is there what are the other developments you guys are seeing at higher ed across the state?
Yeah, it's very critical this day and age. The demand really is on the flexible delivery side.
Yeah.
And that's true regardless of whether you need that delivery mode. So we have students today whose schedules are very complicated because they're working to try to pay for living and pay for their education. They just want to be productive members of society, but also would like to get a degree as well. So we actually have students who are living in our residence halls who have a lot of their classes in online format. And that's because it fits the flexibility of their schedule. Our student athletes.
Or you got a lot of people who didn't go to college after high school, and they spent a few years in the workforce, and now either they have families or something like that, and they've decided to come back. And so it really is a flexible system that you guys got.
And that's the goal. It's, the model of build it and they will have to come to us to get it isn't really good for any of us. And so we want to make sure that prospective students have the opportunity to study, get the degree that they would like to get from the University of Central Missouri, but do it in a way that matches their current life circumstance. So if I name the location in Missouri, I can't get to campus for classes, I can take online classes as long as I have those resources. And we want to make sure we accommodate that because we know that the value of the degree is there. The price point, as you mentioned, is great. And so we want to be able to serve beyond our campus borders. And that's something we focused on quite heavily over the last 5 to 10 years and have been able to deliver on that promise. And also we serve Whiteman Air Force Base, for example. So we have an education center location there.
Which is a pretty huge deal for the state.
It is very nice. It's a great benefit to have both Fort Leonard Wood and Whiteman Air Force Base, two great resources. And we're 10 miles from Whiteman Air Force Base. So how can we serve the men and women who live and work there? And we do that through on-site delivery at Whiteman. We do that through on-site delivery in Warrensburg, but we also do it through the virtual education where an AAU ABC partner program, which means if you get your degree from the Air Force Community College, Community College of the Air Force, you can pathway right into one of 5 degree programs at UCM online fully and take them anywhere in the world. So we try to serve, as I said, beyond our borders of campus and make sure that we're accessible. So sure, modern programs that may be high-tech in nature are statewide missions in professional applied science and technology, but more than that, and do it in a way that students can access us, but also for a price that's going to make sense for them and their current needs.
No, yeah, absolutely. And obviously earlier you're joking about looking for pennies and dollars on High Street, but obviously this week big deal is the budget.
Yeah.
And so was there any major stuff you guys were looking for this year? I know a couple of years ago it was a pretty big deal for some higher ed stuff, but was there any big stuff you guys had this year you were looking for in the budget?
Well, the governor, in his State of the State, proposed a 1.5% increase for core funding for higher education, all 4 years, as well as community colleges.
He's taking a very serious look at higher education and education in general.
And so very, very happy for that. And then the House added a 1.5% based on needs for deferred maintenance, as well as a 1.5% for the core. The Senate took a little bit different approach, and they just put in a 3% increase for the core.
And you can always count on them to take a different approach.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, that's why there's 2 chambers. And so those differences will be worked out in a conference.
Yeah.
And so the deadline is Friday night at 6 o'clock. So we'll see what happens. But really for higher education, we're in a pretty good position right now. The governor, as well as both chambers, have been very supportive of higher ed, and we really appreciate that.
And you, was it 23 or 24 you guys had, or was it earlier when you had Governor Parson take a tour of the campus?
So Governor Parson was actually on campus multiple times.
Yeah. Right.
And in fact, I was
thinking, Cade told me about how one time he was driving him around in the golf cart.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of driving him most recently in the golf cart. This was Governor Parson when he came right before end of term. And the very first time he was on campus many years ago, he said, "Give me your best pitch." And I said, "Governor, more is always better than less."
Yeah.
And that's really, it's to run a fine institution, quality programs, it takes funding, and we just appreciate the seriousness with which the legislature and the governor's office have done that over the last few years.
I think that's an approach we're seeing states take a bit more seriously over the last few years. Was really, and Governor Parson was big on this, was investing in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And Governor Kehoe is big on wanting to kind of update our education system, whether it be in secondary or primary education, or even just more investment into higher ed. And so that's really something I think that's going to be a net benefit to not only the universities, but also to the students who attend them.
Yes.
And to, kind of keeping those students here into the workforce, that's another issue. Maybe, some other economic stuff they got to figure out there. But that's a big thing we've seen, a major change in the last few years, is a serious approach to really developing a first-class workforce.
Yeah, and it's a societal benefit. And so, we have this debate about the value of higher education. Is it a personal benefit or is it a societal benefit, where we don't have the quality of life and the standard of living today that we do have if not for an educated workforce. Mm-hmm. And that educated workforce has access to better paying jobs, but also the types of jobs that we look for in the state of Missouri. So when we're trying to attract industry, what are we trying to attract? And it tends to be those higher paying, high skilled jobs. And that's where higher education is critical to the state. And so we're very grateful that our government officials, our elected officials, have recognized that over the years and know that we are part of the infrastructure of the state.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we're serving well, of course, and always keeping an eye on the quality of what we produce and doing so, again, at an affordable price. But we can't do it without the state's help. And so that's been
I mean, investment into a road or investment into the university is like the same thing as an investment in the road, except the university has the opportunity to produce the people who get those roads done, plan areas for the state, bring in jobs through businesses. At the end of the day, it is a huge net benefit to the state to continue to invest in its higher ed.
It really is. And I had a chance recently to travel to a couple of countries in Asia, in particular South Korea and Cambodia. And I can tell you that their governments are not waiting for us to produce. They're heavily invested.
We tend to bring a lot of those people over here.
We try to, right? Yeah. So we try to educate where we can, and they're doing their part to really run hard and fast on the R&D side. And so we don't want to be behind, right? Yep. We want to make sure that we continue to be the leaders in the United States, and certainly the state of Missouri among the U.S. states.
Yeah. Well, I'm under the impression that there's something in that bag over there.
We did bring so we noticed that the studio is looking a little underdressed, and it's really not quite sufficient. So we wanted to make sure we presented you with this.
This is Scott will love this. We really do need I keep telling him we need a rack or something.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Hummus, but this is. I mean, that's personally my take, but this is my favorite of them all.
It's definitely my favorite.
Yeah. But thank you so much for that. I know Scott will enjoy trying to put that on, and he probably will not be able to get it on. But we'll probably fit it on somebody or something. But thank you so much for that. We'll put it. We'll try to. I'll try to spare this for a little bit.
There we go.
Get all the UCM combination. We obviously got Mo up there, so. What we really need is like a David Pierce sign or something.
I think I've got plenty.
I mean, we've got classics. Like
I have plenty. Yeah.
When I think of Kip Vaughn, the next person I think of is David Pierce.
Me too. David is a classic. So.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming up here today and talking to me a little bit about what's going on at UCM, and I think in the future you'll see a lot of people like my age that won't think of CMSU. They'll think of UCM. So I think that'll be great to see, and I think that university's got a lot of potential and a lot of bright futures ahead of it. So.
Well, thanks, Jake. We appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Tune in to the show Sunday. We'll have Alex Riley in as our prime guest and a great panel of representatives as always. And thank you so much for joining us today.